Welcome to the Lowcountry Revolutionaries, the podcast that dives deep into the heart of Charleston, South Carolina's vibrant entrepreneurial scene. I'm your host, Bill Bellott, founder of Veritas Exoscience, and each week we're spotlighting the boldest innovators from the Chucktown startup community. These are the visionaries pouring their heart and soul into the businesses that are transferring Charleston into a global hub of creativity and American ingenuity. Get ready for raw, real conversations with the trailblazers shaping our city's future. Let's dive in. I'd like to welcome Fred Pirenne. Fred is the CEO of OhmIQ. Fred's international expertise in marketing, entrepreneurship, and consulting fuels his efforts in taking OhmIQ technology to global households and businesses. Welcome, Fred. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you very much for having me.
Well, it's great to have you. We talked a little bit a week or so ago, and I learned a couple little secrets about OhmIQ, which were super exciting to me. But tell me about it. Tell me what's going on with you.
So I run OhmIQ or Ohmic, depending on how people want to pronounce
Ohmic.
it. We're a company that has a new technology for heating liquids, and people then say, great, we use electricity, and the biggest problem that people normally have with electrical heating is limescale formation, right?
Right.
And so our technology doesn't do that. So we don't have the limescale. We solve the limescale problem. We're more energy efficient and more precise and a bit faster than regular heaters. And we saw that there was a market for it, specifically within professional kitchens that we start with. So we're currently implementing our technology into espresso machines, which a lot of people will love because they hate descaling.
Yes.
And in dishwashers and in steam ovens and so forth.
Oh, cool.
Mainly in professional, but hoping that over time it will get as well to consumers.
Right. Maybe in the prosumer type realm, because I have an espresso machine, and I've had this is my second one. I had a Gaggia, now I have a Quick Mill, and while I love both of them, the descaling and all of that is just it is the biggest pain of that. It's worth the experience, but it's a big pain. So, and I can imagine you're talking the professional kitchens, like the steam ovens. So steam ovens are used for baking bread and different things, right? So that's got to be a huge thing for them.
Every market or every restaurant, and there's a lot of them in Charleston, and a lot of very good ones in Charleston.
Right.
They all work with steam ovens or combi steam ovens, what they call, which is a combination of hot steam and or steam and hot air.
Right.
Depending on how much you use it, and these things get used every day, right? After a while, you have to change a steam generator, and that can cost up to $1,600.
Right.
Just not having to maintain it and not having to have it offline, there is a huge cost savings there for restaurants as well.
Right, and we talked a little bit a week ago, like I mentioned. The way I was thinking about it was, is this technology sort of like those instant water heaters? So, on-demand water heaters where there's no tank. Is that how the technology works, or is it a little bit different than that?
No. So at this point, we have it is a tankless water heater, so the water just runs through it, but it does work differently because the tankless water heaters, even the electrical ones, they still use resistance heaters and they draw a lot of current. We work with electrodes that are in the water, and those electrodes get charged. And now I'm getting a bit technical.
It's okay.
And in between the electrodes, you have minerals in the water.
Yeah.
Right. You have potassium and goodness what in the water. Now, if you remember from high school chemistry, they have a natural charge, either positive or negative.
Correct.
So with us, you have one positive electrode and one negative electrode, and then the minerals run back and forth between the two, and then we can then see with the speed with which we push the current or pull the current through those, and then that friction that generates the heat, and that also makes that they don't stick to the surface, which is why the scaling doesn't happen.
So you're using the minerals in the water as sort of like a virtual resistor. Is that sort of what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying. So ironically, where hard water for a lot of electrical resistance heaters is a huge problem, for us, it makes it actually work faster.
Oh, wow. Yeah, because So remembering back to my school and stuff, I think, cathode is the positive side, anode is the negative side. And you usually end up having a lot of the water heaters, they end up having to have like a sacrificial type unit in there that you have to replace every so often. And that's, like you said, if you have to dig into something, it gets real expensive.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's because scale normally positions itself only on one of them, right? But we switch the
you switch back and forth.
Between 60 and 2,000 times per second.
Okay.
Right. And so the minerals don't have the time to hatch on to the electrode that you have there, and it just gets flushed through your system.
Nice. That's really cool. So I don't know how this works, but I'm going to ask this anyway. So is it close to one of the things that people do for desalination is they use basically a process very similar to electrolysis. Is it sort of like that? Is it similar to that?
It is similar to that. It is similar to that, except that, with electrolysis and stuff, there's a risk of creating hydrogen and so forth.
Right.
And then we control, now I'm getting technical, we control sine waves to make sure that doesn't happen. And we use alternating current. So those are the reasons why we don't have hydro formation. So that is what makes our technology somewhat complicated, because you really need to have the mechanical engineering part, the electrical controls, and then the software to run the controls and decide which, how to run all of that. And that's what makes it somewhat more expensive. But what we see with our clients is that they have a lot less maintenance. So they save on that maintenance and warranty cost, right? That's where they save a lot of money. But that makes it also challenging for us, because we need to always find the right mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, and software engineers. And luckily enough, we managed to get a great team together here in Charleston. Of some very local people, and some people who, some foreign, well, not foreign, but some out-of-state talent that we managed to attract. Because Charleston, as you surely know, has become a very popular place. So we managed to attract our latest our latest hire basically started a couple of weeks ago, and he moved down here from Massachusetts.
Oh, wow.
And to be quite honest, Bill, it doesn't take a lot of convincing to tell people like, hey, why don't you come and live in Charleston, right?
I know. It's a great place to live right now, and it's an exciting place. Everything's growing and changing, and I know you guys, you have a big international business, so you work all around the world. And, you were telling me a week ago, you're somewhat outside of the small business. You guys have grown a little bit now.
Well, yes and no, right? So we're a small business, maybe pretending to be big, right?
I love it
because we're still quite small. We're just in those early stages of getting your revenue and so forth and so forth. But we work a lot with international clients, because most of these professional kitchens are either being built by companies in Illinois or in Europe.
Oh, wow.
And so most of our clients, like you talked about Gotcha, you had a Gotcha before.
Yeah.
Gotcha's owned by the Evoca Group in Bergamo in Italy.
Really?
They're a client of ours. So we have the Italian clients. So they came here as well to Charleston. They came the first time to get introduced to our technology and so forth. And when it was time to come back, they didn't need much convincing to say, yeah, we'll come to you guys, because it was a very nice experience that they have here. And also with our American customers, most people know Charleston, so they'll say like, hey, we have no problem coming to Charleston. Because I always make the joke like, yeah, we'll schedule the meeting on a Monday or a Friday, so at least spend the whole weekend here and then take time.
Yeah, so that kind of begs the question, like, what about manufacturing? Are you guys manufacturing here in the Charleston area? Or are you kind of international in your manufacturing? What's the secret plan? Once you've got so many clients, you don't know what to do with. Where are you going to make all this stuff?
Yeah, so we're currently in what we call the design for manufacturing phase, is that
Okay.
we're prepping everything to get to manufacturing. And there we decided not to manufacture ourselves.
Right.
And the reason why we did that is partially me as well, because I come from a manufacturing background
Yeah.
where I ran businesses that, had, oh, you have to think of supply chain, and
Exactly.
there's always something. And I went like, you know what, let's just leave that up to people who know what they're doing.
Right.
So we're working together with companies who do OEM manufacturing. They have 200 factories around the world.
Wow.
And so at this point, we're still debating on where it will be. It will unfortunately most likely not be South Carolina.
Okay.
And the reason for that is because quite some of our clients, as I said, the majority at this point are European.
Right.
And tariffs at this point make it, how to say it, not very interesting to be manufacturing for that particular market.
Right.
In the United States. They do have a plant in Austria, so at this point we're looking at potentially manufacturing in Austria.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I have a friend of mine from way back, and he works for a company that's similar to that, an OEM type company called Scanfil. It's a big company over in Europe, and I imagine they do, like you said, they're experts at doing that kind of stuff, scaling up a product and everything. So it sounds like that's kind of where you guys are. So you have this, and you're starting in this phase of kind of scaling up to meet the demand out there.
Yeah. So the thing is this, I mean, our team here knows their technology very well, right? And they know how to create new products. So what we want to do is, let's leave the manufacturing up to manufacturing specialists, and we'll make a deal with them. And then our team can keep focusing on what they do really well, which is developing new products. I mean, we developed our products, in less than 2 years, we created a core product and then a bunch of derivatives out of it, right? For different product categories. And as I said, I used to come from the household appliances industry, where it took 2 years to build an entirely new product. I mean, we built a product, and then we actually developed what I call derivative products out of it that cover more product categories. And we're like, all right, okay, now this is great, it works, it meets the requirements of the client, so let's just then get it into manufacturing, and let's have that done by somebody else who actually knows much more what they're doing than us having to either buy the competence or acquire that competence, through going through it yourself, and that's very difficult.
Right. Are you guys looking, because like one of the big things I could tell from this product is you have a lot of control over the heating, obviously with the cycling back and forth, and how to control that process. That control mechanism's got to be fairly specialized. Are you looking at just using that for other types of systems in sort of this heating space, or maybe other spaces?
So the controls that we have are actually also used across the different product categories.
Okay.
The derivatives that we're talking about can be quite simple. So, for example, we have our core heater, and then we want to make steam. Well, that's not a problem. Our core heater can be pressurized, so we put more pressure on it, so that we get to a higher, and then we have a specific a valve, so that when we just release to open up the valve, the water evaporates and it becomes steam. Right.
Nice.
So technically, it's another product. You use the same heater, but just by adding a valve to it, it becomes a steam generator.
Right.
And so we really looked into building that modular structure already from the start. And okay, what can we by very simple adaptations or add-ons go into quickly other product categories?
That's cool. So, right now it's professional kitchens, espresso machines, that kind of stuff. What's kind of on the horizon you guys are kind of building to, if you can share that?
Well, we're in an interesting position where we can either decide to scale up
Right.
or scaled or miniaturize.
Really?
And what we mean with that is we can take our technology and try to make it smaller to make it fit into more regular,
more consumer
coffee
level
machines
type
and so
stuff.
forth, more consumer level. Or we can actually ramp it completely up to make it work for breweries, to make it work for food processing and so forth. And I mean, there's a bunch of good breweries here in Charleston. Now, I myself, I come from Belgium. One of the
there's a little beer making in Belgium,
there's a little beer making over there. And so one of my mates in Antwerp, he is one of the leading consultants in building breweries around the world, and he has 3 breweries in the Netherlands that cannot get onto the gas infrastructure.
Oh yeah.
So they have to go all electric.
Wow.
So he's been pulling my sleeve into, hey, can you guys make your technology work for breweries, because I've got a whole market there, and so that's a possibility. Smaller volumes but higher margins, or go to consumers, which is much higher volumes but smaller margins. Right.
Wow. So, I mean, this is for folks out there, this is like gold, because this is like the classic conundrum, like, of every small business out there. Which direction to go? Because each has its pros and cons, and you guys how are you? I'm not asking for your decision, but how are you approaching this decision? What are you kind of playing back and forth to try to figure out what's the best thing for you guys to do?
At this point, what I'm mainly looking at is, who do we know, right? So we can easily, get traction there. And what is the smallest lift from a technical perspective? Right. Is it easier to just, hey, we take the same heater and we make it bigger, and sure enough, it works. Right. Because miniaturization is difficult. Right. And then also, I mean, it is a bit of a cost question, because a friend of mine, he said, like, oh, so my water kettle will have your technology in it. I go like, well, your water kettle probably not, because it doesn't need that. You buy it. Yeah. No, but also you buy it for $10, right? Right. That means that our component would have to be 50 cents or $1, right? And we won't be able to get that cheap. We just have too much electronics for that. So that's just the problem.
Well, yeah, and that's I see that classic kind of thing played out. Just if you go out and buy espresso machines, so go on Amazon or wherever you like to shop, and you get a old style, what I call it, an old style kind of manual espresso machine. It's basically got a heater in there, and it heats up to a certain temperature, and then it cuts off. There's a little bit of control in there, but it's mostly manual. And then you get the fancier ones, and basically the minute you say the word PID, you add $1,000 on top of the cost real quick.
Yep.
But
absolutely.
You get much higher precision control of the temperature. But you have to pay for that, and you have some trade-offs there.
Yeah, absolutely. So that prosumer segment is something that we can go into, and we've been talking to some people on that part as well. And so we'll see, because it's interesting, because that's an interesting market. The fact that we can be very, very precise. The coffee nerds, pardon my expression,
they love it.
Really, really love it. Yeah, they really, really love it.
Yeah, it's well, it's part of the culture. Like I've visited. It's called. You may have experienced it, because they only deliver in Europe, mainly in Italy, but in Europe it's called Corto Cafe. It's a famous beanery. As we would say here in Lecce, Italy. They roast their own beans. They do all the stuff, and they're super precise about everything. They're so into it. It's like one of the reasons they don't ship to the U.S. is because they worry about the freshness of their beans from the shipping. So it's kind of endemic in the culture there. So
that is very precise indeed. Yeah, but you have some good roasters here in Charleston area as well, I've heard. So
absolutely.
I haven't been able to meet them. I wanted to invite them to see if we could. If they could do a tasting, to see if because one of our, so in many cases people put a lot of filtration in order to save the electrical heating elements, so not have to descale it and so forth. You still have to ideally you still filter some sort of the water, but you don't have to filter it as much. So we get more minerals in the water, which actually should create better flavored coffee.
Should, right.
Well, we haven't really, there's no real test for that, right? So I want to see if some of the real baristas, if we could get them into the office, make some coffees and on two different machines, one with our heater, one without our heater, and then see which one they think is the best.
There's got to be, I don't even know what the word would be, but there's got to be people that are sort of like wine sommeliers, but for espresso. There's got to be, you would think.
I'm sure they are, yeah. I know that there is a coffee organization called Specialty Coffee Organization or Association, Specialty Coffee Association, and they have competitions.
Yes,
every year. I mean, this year they had World of Coffee in San Diego, and there were competitions there. And I guess those judges, they must be some sort of coffee sommelier, right? I mean,
they've got to. I mean, and you depending on how you roast the beans, how you do all these things, it changes the taste drastically. And I think anything, I'm a scientist, so anything that reduces variability is probably a good thing. And, your device and what you're doing is you're reducing the variability of this thing. You can count on it. It's going to be precise. You know what you're going to get every time. That's always awesome,
Yeah.
And I was wondering,
absolutely.
Have you guys, I do, some of the stuff, technology stuff that we work on is in the medical field. And that's a high precision type field in a lot of areas, especially with fluids control. Have you guys done anything or talked to anybody in that area at all?
Not yet. So we did get the question about sterilization machines.
Yeah.
And that's something we can easily do because that's basically steam.
Yeah,
right?
It's just a steam sterilizer.
It's a specific type of steam. Technically, as long as there's some sort of conductivity, we can heat any liquid. So we should be able to do medical parts as well. If we coming back to our, what are we going to do next? If we want to go into the higher volume, right? You can go into chemical, you can go into, pharmaceutical, you can go doing those kind of things for their plants. And that's a potential that we're investigating. But then you kind of have to understand what is the conductivity range, because that has an influence on how much power you're going to need and so forth. So that's
right.
That's again going back to the science, but
it is totally a science question on this. Like one of the things, because you guys are regulating the hertz in between the cycling there, is there any generation of like an EM field or anything? Which like if you were putting this in a hospital, people would want to know. Is there anything around that, or is it nothing happening kind of there?
We haven't measured anything, so so to my knowledge, it doesn't know.
Okay,
so it should be safe for everybody with pacemaker to just walk around it.
Yeah. So that would be like, I'm sure, like once you start, if you're selling it, especially in the consumer products, that would be something like UL or one of the places would probably test.
Yeah.
That's kind of like a normal standard type test. It's not a big deal.
Exactly. Yes,
okay. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
So you've kind of come into this from like big business, working for Electrolux and places like that. How's it different for you? I mean, this has got to be like a drastic change. You don't, you don't have like 10 marketing departments and 2 different HRs and, a giant legal team. How's this entrepreneurship and smaller business kind of feeling for you?
I actually like it a lot more. So I grew up in a family full of entrepreneurs and small business owners, and I think, except for my dad, he worked for Ford Motor Company. I'm the only one who really went into large corporations, and what is such a relief is that you don't have the politics,
right,
and going from decision to execution is so much shorter,
yes.
right? And so you can actually take a decision, and by the end of the week, you easily, or even by the end of the day, you can see the effects of the decision that you've taken, right?
Right.
Whereas with big corporations, you take a decision that has to go through so many cycles before actually something happens.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that we're a tightly knit team. I think we have a really good have a really good a team spirit here,
Right.
and that is fantastic. We have people. I tried to recruit local guy, and I told him at some point, I said, "Hey, why don't you come and work for us?" and so forth. He said, "No," he said, "because you're gonna expect me to be in the office every day, and I don't want to be in the office every day. I've been working from home for quite a while." And I said, "Listen," I said, "I would be a hypocrite if I told you to come in the office. I'm not even in the office every day. So, so why, And he went like, all right, okay. And he joined, and guess what? He's in the office every day because he
wants to be there.
Miss what's happening. Right. He wants to be there, right? But we didn't pressure him to be there. But he's there every day, and he's doing a tremendous job with his team. And so
that's cool.
I think that for me is the biggest sign that we're doing something good, right?
Yeah.
So.
Do you guys work with any like the local colleges and stuff like that to recruit people out of, or is it just kind of through your natural network?
I would love to at this point is through our natural network, and some sort of putting up different the regular putting up ads and so forth. Right. So that's been going quite well so far. Local colleges, I would love to talk to them. We have actually people here who were working for us and then studying in the Citadel.
Yeah.
In the evening school, getting their degree.
Nice.
She just graduated as a mechanical engineer.
Very good.
So that's very good. And then one of our other lab technicians, I think she's going to follow the same route where she's going to get her engineering degree through working with the Citadel. And then for those people, we're being a bit extra flexible, right? Yeah. So I mean, they can leave earlier because they have to go to school, and if there's exams and stuff, that we cut them a bit of slack. And what we give, we always get in return, right? So I mean, Brittany, who's a fantastic person, she would come in, she would be here even at 6 a.m. To make sure that she was ready with her work and she could go to school afterwards. And I'm really, really impressed by all the work she's done. And so I mean that's great with getting local talent. But I think that's also the problem that we're having a little bit is that I think Charleston kind of fell victim of its own success. Right. So
much going on.
There's so much going on, and there's so many great companies starting and working out there that you kind of get a little bit of this talent war. Yeah. And then new people who are coming in, I mean, housing prices go up, so you have to give them more salary.
Right.
Which is challenging for smaller companies, right? So that's a little bit of a vicious cycle there, I would say, and that's where I think closer collaboration with schools would definitely help. But what I've experienced with schools, is that they always want to see it as a trimester project or a full year project.
Yeah, it fits in with the schedule kind of thing, right?
Yeah. Where sometimes we just go like, no, this is like a 2-month project, and we really want to work with you guys. Yeah. The one thing we do, but that's with a high school, with the West Ashley High School. So for the last 2 years, they came to our offices for a full day with all of their senior year science students. Right. And then we would explain to them how it's going here, and we would give them some small science projects and stuff that were going on, and specifically for women in STEM. I mean, I've got. So the girl I talked about who just became an engineer, she actually has a master's in physics and a bachelor's in mathematics before she decided to become.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
Absolutely. And then I have another girl who also has a physics degree, right? Wow. And these women are just absolutely crushing it. They are. It's insane how quickly they pick up with all of this science, all these science things. And then our integration engineer is also a woman, so it's great that we have also a lot of women who are then these kind of role models for the students of the West Ashley High School.
Absolutely. Well, you guys could definitely take the science fair with the volcano to a different level,
Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Look, I can tune my volcano to blow steam. It's like you could maybe reproduce like what's called Old Faithful from Yosemite. It's like, look, I can reproduce a Yosemite where it goes off exactly at the same time.
That's actually a good idea. I'll have to launch that as a challenge to my team here to see if they can build something like that.
Yeah. I mean, wouldn't that be amazing? Because you have the little basically steam generator and just, you're going to have an artist come in and like make the little geyser on there. But, you got the tech there to do it.
We've got some of our guys who are artists, actually. They do a lot of things. They do painting and weaving and God knows what. So I'm sure they'll be able to put something up.
That'd be awesome. Well, definitely if you do that, let me see it. I'd love to see that. I love doing STEM stuff. I've been involved with that too myself, and it's always just a great reward to see somebody get excited about science, engineering, math, any of those kind of things. Yep. And it's you love to see like the light bulb go off. Like, hey, this is kind of cool. I can do a lot of good stuff with this.
Absolutely. Well, if you want to swing by the office to come and have a look, you're more than welcome.
Awesome. I want to take you up on that someday. I need to get, out of the Somerville area and check out all the stuff around town. So absolutely. So before we go though, I have to ask you, so what advice do you have for other entrepreneurs out there, given your sort of vast experience on all of these areas?
Oh, wow. Okay. That's a difficult question. I think one of the things is definitely the importance of collaboration, right? I mean, importance of collaboration, know what you're good at and find people who are better at doing stuff, being complementary.
Right.
And I try to do that both within my team, but also with the partners that we work with. Like, we kind of went like, okay, we're not built for manufacturing. So we're just gonna find a good partner that we can do that with.
Yeah.
Right. I'm here. I always try to say I know what I can and what I cannot do.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more things that I cannot do than that I can do.
Right.
So then I just find people who do it for me. And our chairman of this company, he once told me, said, you're not like most other CEOs of engineering companies that I know. I go, what do you mean, Dennis? And he goes, well, other engineers, they look at a problem and they think like, I could solve this if I study it enough. He said, you look at a problem and you think like, who do I know that I can call to fix it for me?
Yeah, exactly, which is smart.
And I go like, well, yeah, I mean, sometimes I just think, if there's one thing that you don't have as a startup or as a smaller company, you don't have the luxury of time, right? Because very often you don't have the cash flow that will allow you to do it.
Right.
And so then it's better to swallow your pride, collaborate with some people, and there's always it might cost you a little bit, but I think you're going to get a lot of in return as well.
Right. Yeah, that is great. I mean, that's the best thing that I like about this whole area, the Lowcountry area, is that, people do want to work together. People do want to collaborate. So even if they're in the same business you are, they're like, yeah, let's do something together. It'd be awesome,
Yeah, of course. I actually called up our competitor. So we have one competitor in the world, really, right? and they're actually based in Switzerland.
Oh, wow.
And so I got in touch with their CEO and I said, listen, why don't we collaborate as being friendly competitors, right? A little bit like Mercedes and BMW did, friendly rivals to push each other forward. I said, because we're creating an entire new category of products, and it is incredibly expensive if you have to do that on your own.
Correct.
Right? And so the market's big enough for the two of us. So for now, let's just, try to build it together, and then we'll rival about, who gets most of it at a later stage.
Right. And, there wouldn't be a World Cup if there weren't more than one team.
Exactly.
That's kind of how to look at it. It's like you got to have this friendly competition to build a marketplace. That's how it works.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's great. Yeah, I mean, and I see what people do here. I mean, Chuckdown is a great community, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Toby Palmer has been doing a great thing there. We talked to Jamie Dement, who's also creating a huge network of people working together. So you really feel that there's a lot of fantastic things happening here in the Lowcountry. And to your point, I mean, it's all great people that want to work together. And I would say keep it up, because that's also the only advice I can give.
Yeah, keep putting one foot in front of the other. Just keep going.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
Well, awesome, Fred. Thank you so much for your time, and this has been great. And definitely come back on again. I want to hear about, all the things, especially if you make the geyser, Old Faithful. That'd be really cool.
Absolutely.
We'll do if you do that, we will do a video podcast so people can see it.
Yeah, that would be great. Absolutely. Wonderful. Well, thank you for having me again, and I'm sure we'll talk again soon.
Absolutely. Take care.
All right. Take care.
That's a wrap for this episode of the Lowcountry Revolutionaries. Thanks for joining us as we celebrate the fearless entrepreneurs making wave in Charleston's Chucktown Startups community. I'm Bill Bellot, and it's been an honor to share these inspiring stories with you. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs a spark of Lowcountry innovation. Until next time, keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible.